Thank you, David. Good morning and welcome to Unity of the Palm Beaches. I am happy to be here and grateful for your presence this morning. And to our online audience, we welcome you as well. We thank you for your support. And for those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to turn your cell phones completely off. And now Reverend Taylor will open us up in prayer.
It is. To be here, to be in a country where we are free to gather, free to share what are still radical ideas of truth. We recognize in this moment that we gather together to uplift all living beings. Really let that into your heart. We gather together to uplift all living beings. We is the light, my beloveds. We are here to shine. We do so in each and every moment of this time together. Blessed, present, grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Taylor. If this is your first time at Unity of the Palm Beaches, will you please raise your hand? No, we don't have anyone. Well, if you're new online, we welcome you. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. As you know, we've been following the guidance of experts in science and medicine regarding COVID. And based on the most recent CDC information, Palm Beach County's COVID level is now classified as low. We still strongly encourage you to wear a mask and to keep a safe distance from each other, but you may opt not to wear a mask. That may change if the classification changes. We hope you'll do everything you can to protect yourselves and each other. I encourage you to keep up with what's going on at Unity of the Palm Beaches by reading the announcements on the screen before and after the service. They include information about our ministry, events, activities, and Unity's 5 basic principles. You might also want to sign up for Conscious Connection, our weekly e-newsletter, to stay up to date on what's happening. You can sign up at our website at unitypalmbeach.com. And now for a reading from the Daily Word. The word today is light. And the affirmation is, the light of truth dissolves all darkness. A bird's cheerful song interrupts the quiet of the night. The dark sky grows lighter and puffy clouds begin to glow with a beautiful shade of pink. Brilliant rays announce the sun's arrival. The sun peeks over the horizon, flooding the new day with light. Light dissolves darkness in my consciousness in a similar way. At a challenging time, my heart responds to the hopeful thought that this too shall pass. Hope grows into faith as my mind opens to divine wisdom that is always mine to claim. Guided by the dawning light of truth, I see the way forward and follow it with confidence. As surely as each new day brings a sunrise, my faith assures me the light of truth will dissolve the darkness of any obstacle I may face. And from Scripture, John chapter 1, verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Please join me in saying the affirmation together. The light of truth dissolves all darkness. In Unity, we acknowledge and we celebrate the power of prayer. We acknowledge that prayer is how we align with and affirm the absolute truth of what God is. We pray not to change outer conditions, rather, we pray to change consciousness and so to change ourselves. We allow for a change in our thoughts, feelings, and attitudes, thus deeply knowing our connection within the Spirit of God. Our prayer chaplain this morning is Trish. who will be bringing up our prayer box that contains your prayer intentions and lighting the Christ candle. For now, we ask that you refrain from singing before and after meditation. Trish, please come forward.
And as we reach this most profound moment in our gathering, I invite you to really be once again conscious of your breathing. Centering, if you will, within the heart space. Within that sacred center. The portal through which Spirit enters time and space reality. The portal for the essential genius that is within us. The essence that created us, that seeks to express fully as us. And so simply relax, open, and if you choose, allow for a feeling of receptivity. Not trying to make anything happen. Simply letting be the truth that is already true. Centered in the heart, spaciously watch the thinking that continues to move through the mind. Letting go the notion that there shouldn't be thinking. Just not identifying with it. They're simply thoughts. Beneath those thought forms, the essence, spaciousness. Always right here. And so as we entrain with that essence, as we align with the vibrational, prayer fills our hearts. Illuminates our minds. Spaciousness. Essence. Prayer. Spaciousness. Essence. Prayer. And so we allow stillness to fill our inner being. Be still. As you hear the familiar melody, as you hear the words that I speak, continue to feel that spaciousness, essence, prayer energy underlying the sounds, the words, this experience. We do so gratefully. And so it is. Amen.
We move too fast. We miss so much. We seldom see all the miracles in front of us. A warm embrace, a human touch, and so it goes. I race around, search high and low for a truth I used to know, when there was magic to be found. 'Cause finding Wonderland is taking time to see. The child within has always been there, smiling back at me. So when I close my eyes, I just remember, and I can't help finding Wonderland. It's not too late in my prime. Hearts can break in the story's nick of time. A happy ending, a perfect rhyme. 'Cause finding Wonderland is finding who you are. The child within has always been there, like a shining star. So when I close my eyes, I see forever, and I can't help finding Wonderland. Ordinary magic happens every single day. Wonderland is never far away. 'Cause finding Wonderland is going home again, to feel the love another gives, then give it back again. If you should lose your way, reach out for someone's hand, then you'll keep finding Wonderland. You'll keep finding Wonderland.
Katie Marlowe. Yay. David Tostine. So good to have you back, Katie. Yay. David introduced me to that song, and so literally we built today around that, and the perfect singer for that song, so absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the one caveat about having such talented people, is that everybody else wants them. Try to hide them. It's an incredibly beautiful song. Again, David introduced me to that. The show that it is from, but it did birth a great song. So David booked Katie and then wanted that song for her in particular. And so I thought, well, great, then I'll just use that as kind of the foundation, the impetus for today's service. And I have to say, especially this morning, I was reflecting on the topic, on what seemed to want to present itself through me today. And are y'all my family to some degree? Do y'all do you get some of that feel like we're a spirit family? And like every family, we have function and dysfunction. We're imperfect, which I think is integral to our beauty. But as I thought about that song and thought about how to express the sentiments of it, down in my body there was a bit of a, right? Like finding Wonderland. Because when we decided to do this, some of the things that are happening in our world right now were not yet happening. So there are people that choose and seek really hard to practice a spirituality that doesn't lean into everything that is happening in our world, and that is not my spirituality. So I don't pretend that things that are happening in the world do not disturb me. If you want to do that, great, but probably if you really want to do that, you don't come here anymore. Because I talk about it because I want spiritual principle to be applicable into my world. I want to be a field of consciousness that rather than pretend that something's not happening, I drink it in, I transmute it inside of me, and then I allow an expression of a transformed energy to shine forth into the world. So, in order to be able to authentically share with you, I got to share everything that is happening inside of me, particularly relative to what's going on in our world. And I've asked you this the last couple weeks, and a couple of you are honest. Anybody disturbed by what you're seeing in our global family? So I got to say that after 2 years, Linda and I were commenting this morning, it was 2 years ago today that we needed to make the difficult decision to actually shut down in-person operations here at Unity of the Palm Beaches. And that went on for a long time. And we're grateful to be able to be back together. And we're grateful to be able to, say, hey, we suggest you wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, for us, it's completely a matter of safety. It's not political here. After 2 years of a pandemic, now a war. And from my perspective, a rather hideous demonstration of what human beings are capable of. Right? Does anybody else feel? And having said that, I still know that there is a realm of consciousness that is unaffected by pandemics and wars and disturbances and fighting over masks and all of this stuff that we've been dealing with. There's something that is transcendent of that. Do you know that? I don't think you would be here if you didn't at least suspect it. So when David introduced me to that song, at first I thought my mind went to the late Michael Jackson and where he lived, which is actually Neverland, not Wonderland. So I had to make that little course correction inside of myself. But sometimes when I look at what's happening today, I think it looks more like Neverland than Wonderland. Having said that, we're invited spiritually to be, I think more than ever, we're really invited and implored and beckoned, and if were such a thing in the universal field, we are being pleaded with to grow up. And you hear in sacred scriptures, the kingdom, or as I always like to use the original word, kin, K-I-N, dumb, kin, the kingdom of heaven, you must become like a child. So we are not told to be childish. We're invited to be childlike. And for me, when I hear that song, Wonderland is just for me. One-O-N-E, der land. That's the kingdom consciousness. What we think we know, all of the programming, all of the distractions, the beginning of that song, we're rushing around so much. Are you tired of rushing around? Anybody but me? And sometimes, and I think for a lot of people, all of the rushing around and the busyness is only happening on your iPhone. We're exhausted from scrolling. Is that the same as trolling? I don't know. But the way that we are living as human beings, and at a level for me, it is understandable. We're so distracted and so deadened. And it's this force of collective consciousness. You can sit in a chair and feel exhausted. Why? Because you're plugged into the global brain. The busyness, the busyness, the busyness. And so what happens is, in my experience, the collective consciousness gave birth, if you will, to this thing that we called pandemic. And the pandemic said, for those who don't see it as some conspiracy, I'm just speaking from my experience. Have your experience of it. My experience of it was, you know what? Go to your rooms, go to your homes, and stay put. And from the very beginning, 2 years ago, I remembered Mr. Kirby, he was little, the principal of my elementary school, who would say, you go to your room and you think about it, right? And I could just feel this like, oh my God, we are being collectively given an opportunity to go home, to lessen the busyness, and to reflect on what this might be an outpicturing of, and what needs to change in the individual and in the collective, so that what has gone viral can be transmuted. What has gone viral in consciousness, what has become infectious, can be transmuted. And so almost immediately, and if you look if you read what happened during those 2 years, we became even more masterful at our distractions. Go figure, stay home, look at what we've done collectively. No, that's not what happened. It's not what happened. We almost immediately started fighting against each other. The average person in the world gained 13 pounds. We just thought of every single way. Scroll, 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 right? So probably the majority of people didn't become quieter and more reflective. At a level, it's understandable. Who wants to face that? Right? Who wants to face it? And now, who wants to face that? But you can pretend it's not happening. You can try not to see a news report. You could. It's happening. It's happening. And it's energy, and it's an effect, a solidified effect of consciousness. And when enough of us decide we're not going to distract ourselves, we're not going to get even busier and try to outrun it, then something can happen. Then a transformation can occur. Are you up for it? Would you like to feel as if you're living your spiritual practice is having a beneficial effect on the suffering that is happening there? Because see, when I go like that, I don't even know what direction that is, but it's not happening there. It's happening here. We are holographic beings. There is no out there. Now, I do not diminish the fact that my house is still standing. I still have, as odd as the selection may be, I still have food in the refrigerator. I still have all the... If I wanted, when the house was a little cooler this morning, I could have turned on the heat. I have all of that. We're here. Those parts of myself are not enjoying those luxuries. So I don't minimize the fact that there is enormous suffering going on, but I also don't lose sight of the fact that I have something to do with it. I have something to do with it. We're going to get to Wonderland. Well, isn't that a wonder? Isn't it a wonder that every time... See, I know I'm not the most popular speaker in the world, but I'm among probably the most dedicated. And I've never been afraid that people are going to get ticked off and leave, much to the board's chagrin. Well, they knew who I was. You knew what I was when you picked me up. But see, this isn't something that if I feel like it, I might do on a Sunday. Now, granted, this is my vocation. But before it was my vocation, when I first came to Unity, I've shared this with you, I didn't sit back and go, do I feel like doing that? No, I don't know. See, if I did, I would challenge that. And I would say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's something bigger than me. There's something bigger than my preference. I have a contribution to make. And the more of us that gather together, the stronger the contribution. What's happening inside of you? Do you want to go, Taylor? The more of us that choose to gather together. See, we right now, with all of that happening, some of you masked, some of you not masked, I don't make that mean anything. You can if you want. We, in this moment, can decide that we're going to find Wonderland, and it's inside of us. Now, Wonderland, O-N-E, der Land. The kingdom consciousness is here and now. But the thing about kingdom consciousness, K-I-N, just like one, O-N-E, it must include all. You can't take one person that you don't like or agree with, you can't pluck them out and still have the kingdom. It's like in childlike consciousness. Now, let me just say, because a lot of times it gets portrayed that kids are just the most innocent and loving and kind. Well, sometimes. And they can be brutally honest, can't they? But not that long ago, we had Valentine's Day, and I've shared 1,000 times because it's just a meaningful part of my life. On Valentine's Day, I went to one of those schools in elementary school where we gave everybody a Valentine. Everybody. And the day before Valentine's Day, you could fight like hell with that person that you just can't stand. And probably most children say it, right? Have you ever heard a child, I hate you? No unitic face on that little being. But on Valentine's Day, it would never have occurred to us to not give that person a Valentine. And so that's the day of any other day in school, maybe other than the last day, I relished Valentine's Day because it felt like we were all loving each other. And I want to live that way now. I don't. I'm willing to. I'm willing to. So, Wonderland is, for me, the land of awe. It's a place of awe. Say that with me. Awe. Say it again. Awe. Does it feel silly? I hope so. Awe. Good. Awe. I've shared this with you 1,000 times. It's going to be 1,001. The sound of awe, there's an entire science built around awe. We know now that awe, particularly when it's said in the heart center, opens the heart. It opens the heart. And when the heart opens, a different kind of, a superior intelligence is revealed. So, to simplify, this total BS artist, this portal of genius, and when this informs this, rather than letting this obscure this, everything changes. Are you with me? Like that, literally. Now, anybody consistently do heart practice? Does anybody do that? Do anybody work with the awe of your heart? Anybody? Well, hell, I'm good at my job. When you consistently seek to do that and to make it a practice, what happens is what the Sufis will call the veils of the heart get triggered, get activated, so that the grief that is in all of our hearts, now you don't have to agree with me, and I'm telling you, we all got it. The grief in the heart becomes activated so that it can be integrated and healed. So why we go, heart, oh, Wonderland. What really happens at some point is, heart, oh. But see, brings us to a more expansive level of And I'm telling you, beloveds, collectively, we have not dealt with our grief. It's grief. That's what we're seeing out pictured. Now, if you're not courageous enough to deal with grief, you will go to rage. As much as people do, especially, let's just tell the truth here, as much as women are not supposed to be angry. Do you all know that? It is not ladylike. When we're not able to appropriately deal with our anger, it becomes rage. But ultimately, I guarantee you that what's underneath that is grief. But rage is easier than grief. It's a hot energy. It's more explosive, and it's cast out there. Anybody drive on 95? What's wrong with those people? It's so great because, you know, Don and I will say all the time, we'll see somebody on the horn, or, you know, one of those little mudras, hand gesture, and Imprinting. Right? Because they haven't dealt with their stuff, so it's got to be the person in the Volkswagen. Can't be me. Can't be. So this is what's been shrouding our hearts. And yet we know at some level there is a kingdom of oneness, of wonderland, always, always, always available. It's there. And for me, awe is awareness, awareness. When we become aware that we are aware, did you hear me? When you become aware that you are aware, everything changes. That's what awakening is all about. You begin to watch awareness. I'm going to let it sink in. You get what I'm saying? When you are aware that you are aware, you are no longer identified with what you are aware of. You're welcome. Do you hear me? That will revolutionize your life. Because most people still in the human experience are unconscious. Have you noticed? It is unconsciousness that gives birth to unskillfulness. So when you watch what's happening and some of the things that people are doing, oive, and you can go, oh, that was really unskillful. They must be really unconscious. But see, if you're just triggered by it and you just stop at blaming them, then guess who's unconscious? Guess who is not aware that they are aware? Hello? Right? So to live in awe is to live in an expanding awareness, the awareness that I am aware. Wonder. To live in. Does it? I miss wonder. I have a healthy dose of that, and I worked hard to get it, but I got to tell you, I'm just going to be transparent with you, and if it helps one person, I am willing to take on the judgments of the rest of you. It doesn't matter if I help one person. My wonder has been dampened in the last 2 years. I have worked at it. I have stared at my trees and at my birds, and I have really worked, because the natural realm for me, manifestations that don't have self-reflective consciousness, i.e. human beings. See, I think nature's easy to love. People, does anybody? I have never met a bird I didn't like. People? So I have really intended, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, I guess, but I have been striving to regain my wonder. So a word that helps me is wow. Can you get the feeling of the word? Wow. Now let me tell you, every time I see the news, I'm like, wow. But occasionally, wow, right? But wow, if you can get a sense of that, I always think of it as wakened, open witnessing. Wow, right? Look at the daily word, like, we're surrounded by this every single day. But see, when it becomes just another label in our heads, we miss the aliveness. We lose the wow. A bird's cheerful song. You know, I got to tell you, this was really funny because I love hearing the very first bird of the day. I love hearing the first bird of the day. Does anybody else ever do that? I sit doing my morning practice and I wait. Well, damn this time change. See, they're smart. They slept in. But a bird's cheerful song, the dark sky grows lighter and puffy clouds begin to glow with a beautiful shade of pink. Wow. Wow. Wonder. How can we live this close to the Atlantic Ocean and not be in wonder? Now, I don't like getting in it. I just shared that with somebody. I do not want to be in that big bathtub of bird poop or fish poop. Well, probably bird poop too. But to look at it, does it fill you with wonder? And then, recently I visited the mountains and I thought, I wonder if people that live with all these mountains stop seeing them. Like, do they get used to it and you don't see that anymore? And do we do that with the beauty of the tropics? Do we not see it? And if we realize we're walking in nature, but we're thinking about something else, have you ever done that? Oh, I love when you get your unity face. Do you ever walk in nature, but you're thinking about something else and we don't see it? Right? So we're looking at a program and we're missing the gorgeous reality. How often do we look at the same thing we've seen countless times and go, wow. Do you know that you can never see the same tree twice? Do you know that? Or does it become a fixed reality? You cannot see the same thing twice. It's always changing. And so are we. I am not looking, some of you I know really well, but I am not looking at the same person I saw last time because your cells have continued to divide and your consciousness has continued to grow. And I am committed to being in wonder of who you are. But the only way to do that is to be in wonder of who I am. Right? And I think I know who I am. Oh, God, I hope I'm wrong. Right. Awareness, wonder, expectancy. To hold an expectancy. God, when we've been hurt and we've been disappointed, we have to reclaim expectancy. In our spiritual practices, we talk about, it's all for good. It's all for good. But we have to open to allow that. We have to open to the experience of Wonderland. And Wonderland doesn't mean, see, this affirmation says the light of truth dissolves all darkness. I would take exception to that personally. It doesn't dissolve it, it shines into it. See, the darkness is the context for the light. You're not going to get rid of darkness. Somebody had to tell you. You're going to use it. And beyond that, when you live in awe, you can use light. I want to say this in such a way that this lands right in your glorious heart. You use light. You are light. Right now, all of us can use light to shine into what is happening in Ukraine. Right now, we can use light. We were given light in every cell of our being. See, you're a field of wonderland. But if we're deadened and distracted, we don't know it. We don't feel it. And feeling is the key. Feeling is the key. So the light shines in the darkness. The darkness did not overcome it. Why? Because the light doesn't fear the dark. Did you hear me? The light doesn't fear the dark because it knows it can shine into it. Do you want to live in Wonderland? Anybody? I'm telling you, I'm going to live. If Wonderland has a soundtrack like that, girl, I'm there. I am so there. But it may sound a little silly and easy, but to live in awe, to use the light, and to let your field of consciousness be a field of wonderland transforms the world. Are you in? Are you in? I mean, really, are you in? So I'm going to invite you. We were given light in order to use it, not just for ourselves. Not just for ourselves. That's childishness. Childlike wonder transforms the world. And there isn't a person in this room that's not up to that task. And when we do it together, the light is amplified. So today's the day. Today's the day. Use the light. Shine. Be Wonderland. We don't have to find it. It's already here. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Taylor. I would like to say wow tomorrow. Every Monday, our amazing executive director sends out an email and lets us know how many of you are here and how much was contributed to our finances. And I want to say wow about that second part. Will you help me? Okay. I appreciate your donations, your generosity in supporting this community. If you need to put your donation in a box, there's one in the lobby, and it's here when you come into the sanctuary in the morning. And if you're online, please click the donate button. We would really appreciate it. You might also want to consider signing up for automatic donations so you don't have to bring your donation to the church on Sunday. Thanks to everyone who assisted with the service today. As we close, please remember that we share the sanctuary with Temple Israel, so please be sure to remove all personal items, pens, papers, and trash. Now please rise as we affirm our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Now, David will play us out with the peace song. Please have a wonderful week.